Well, welcome back. We've got a monster topic tonight, and this is called the locus definition of a parabola. In essence, we're going to be writing the equation of a parabola given the focus, directrix, or vertex. So we want to get this sketch in your notebook as perfect as possible, and we'll add to it. And so feel free to pause it if you need to, and we'll get this sentence written out. A parabola is the collection of all points equidistant from a fixed point and a fixed line. Okay, so this parabola, we're saying this parabola is the collection of all the points that make it up that are equidistant or the same distance from a fixed point known as the focus or a fixed line known as the directrix. And we got a taste of that yesterday. So again, we'll make a note here. The fixed point is known as the parabola's focus, and the fixed line is known as the parabola's directrix. So if we go back to our picture, we're stressing that the distance from your focus to the parabola and then from the parabola to the directrix are equidistant, meaning they are equal in distance. And if you remember from geometry, you put those hash marks on when you did proofs or such, we're saying that this distance and this distance are equal. Same idea here. If I drew out to the parabola here and I dropped straight down, those should be equidistant or the same distance. Let's go ahead and draw another one in. I could draw out to here on the parabola and drop it straight down. We'll put 3 hash marks to identify this as somebody different. I'm saying that those are equidistant. So example 1, we'll try to refocus from yesterday. Sketch a parabola whose focus is 0, 5 and directrix is y equals 1 and identify the vertex. So I want to make a note here. You should not ever do one of these problems without a sketch. So I want you to highlight that in your notebook. You must have a sketch. So the first thing I'm going to do on the sketch is plot what I know. I have a focus at 0, 5, so again I'm going to make myself a quick x and y axes. And we'll plot 0, 5, so over 0, up 5, 0, 5. And the directrix is y equals 1, so I'll use another color and draw in y equals 1. Okay, so now I have to finish the sketch. If this is my focus and this is my directrix, my vertex sits directly in the middle. And remember, the quick way to find that is just take the difference between the two and cut them in half. So this is a height of 5 minus a height of 1 is a difference of 4. Cut it in half and I get 2. Now the most important part is that you remember you're not actually just going up 2. You're going up 2 from the directrix or from the focus. Okay, so this doesn't mean just go up 2 from the x-axis here. You're going 2 away from either the focus or directrix. And if you go away from each of them, you should land at the same spot. So let's count. If I were here and I count up 2, 1, 2, that puts me at a height of 3. And if I were at the focus and I came down to 1, 2, that puts me at a height of 3. So I know that that's going to be a 0, 3. And that is going to be my vertex. And then I can go ahead and sketch in my parabola. Sketch a parabola whose focus is 0, 8 and directrix is y equals -2. Identify the vertex. So again, it's not possible, and you'll see where it gets a little messy when we get going here, to do this without a sketch. Okay, so I'm going to start with my x and y axes. I'm going to plot 0, 8. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hopefully you've done the same in your notebook. I'll put a nice red dot there, and F for focus. Now I need my directrix at y equals -2, so I'm going down 2. Drawing my directrix is a line. I'm going to put a D for directrix, and y equals -2. Now, I have to find the vertex, which is sitting directly in the middle. So here's what we do. we'll just find the distance between the two. So this is a height of 8, and this is a height of -2, so 8 minus -2. And those two negatives make a positive, so I get a total of 10. And to find the middle, I'm just going to cut it in half. So here's the catch. I get 5, but it's not at 5. It's 5 units away, and there's where you have to be careful. You have to count up 5 from the directrix or down 5 from the focus. So let me count down 5 from the focus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put a green dot there. And I'm going to verify I get 5 the other direction. So I was here. 1, my axis is 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know I'm in the right spot. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to label my vertex at 0, 3. And I'm going to draw in my parabola. Now remember, your focus sits inside the parabola. So is this one going to open up or down? Well, hopefully you said up because it has to go away from the directrix. So now, in order to write the equation of a parabola, we first have to recall the vertex form of a quadratic, and we focused on this a couple days ago. So let me remind you, let's say our vertex is h comma k. Okay, we should know that the equation of a parabola is y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so I want you to box that in. That is something we should be familiar with. And again, I will remind you that this is the vertex. Okay, so there's my hk. Notice I have to negate the h and I leave the k the way it is. And this a coefficient tells us if the parabola is kind of tight to the y-axis or does it open up wider than the x-axis. So writing these equations is not very difficult. Obviously, the first thing you have to find is the vertex. So let's make a big note. First, find the vertex. Okay, and once you have that, you have the h and the k, so you already have those two pieces, which is awesome. So all you need is this a value. So second, we have to find the a value. Okay, now, to do that, we do have to memorize a little formula. So here's how you find the a value. It is 1 over 2 times the focus minus the directrix. Okay, 1 over 2 times the focus minus the directrix. Now we have to make one other asterisk in here. Okay, you have to determine if this should be positive or negative. If this a value should be positive or negative. And basically that just depends on the way your picture looks. So that's why you have to make a sketch. Okay, because if you're drawing your parabola opening upwards, we know that a value is going to be positive. If you drew that parabola downwards, we know that a value is going to be negative. Okay, so let's make sure this is clearly written out in our notebook, and we're going to practice a few together. So here's an example of what a question may look like. Derive the analytic equation of a parabola with a focus of 0, 5 and a directrix of y equals 1. Now maybe those words are kind of intimidating. Derive just means get, determine, figure out, okay, come up with the formula. The analytic equation means they want to see it written out, okay? They want to see an equation written out. So I want to remind you, you can't answer a focus directrix question without a sketch. Okay, so let's make a note. We're going to sketch. All right, so let's go a quick sketch. I'm going to plot 0, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Plot our 0, 5. Label it F for focus. And my directrix is at y equals 1. Okay, we'll label that D for y equals 1 for directrix. Okay, so now I need to find the vertex. So let's make another bullet. Find vertex. All right, we already practiced that. We said take the difference between the focus and the directrix. So that was a height of 5 minus a height of 1, which is 4. And I need to find the middle, so I'm going to cut it in half. So I know I should be 2 away. Okay, not a height of 2, 2 away. So I'm going to take a different color here, and I'm going to go 2 away from my directrix. 1, 2. And I'm just going to make sure, sorry, I counted there, Make sure this is also 2 away. And I want to label that point. So that is the point 0, 3. Okay, and I'll put a V there for vertex. So now you basically have everything except the A value. So let's remind ourselves how to get that A value. If you look back in your notes, it's 1 over 2 times focus minus directrix. So I'm going to say that's 1 over 2 times. My focus was a height of 5 minus my directrix was a height of 1. So that's 1 over 2 times 4, which is 1 over 8. Now lastly, I have to determine if this is positive or negative. Well, I got a little jumpy here and I didn't even finish my picture, so let's go back. Which way does this parabola open? Does it open up or open down? Well, remember, the focus has to be inside. So I know the parabola opens up, which means my A value, I'll make a note, is positive. So now I'm going to put this all together. Remember, the equation is A times x minus h squared plus k. This is my vertex. So I'm going to say this is y equals a positive 1/8 times x minus, my vertex was 0, 3. So x minus 0 technically squared plus 3. And obviously I don't need to say 0, so I'm going to say it's 1/8. That's just x squared plus 3. And there you have it. We have the equation of that specific parabola. All right, let's try another one. Again, derive the analytic equation of a parabola given the focus of -2, 6 and directrix of y equals -2. So again, step 1 is to sketch. So pause it, sketch it out, and then hit play and see if we agree. So don't cheat yourself. Pause it and see how you do. All right, take a quick peek at mine, see if you agree. I basically just plotted the focus and directrix. Okay, so now I have to find the vertex. So that's my second step, find the vertex. Okay, so remember, you're just going to take the difference in the two heights. So this has a height of 6 minus a height of -2. So it gets me a positive 8, and cut it in half, which means you have to go 4 away. Okay, not a height of 4, 4 away. So I'm going to count up 4 from the line, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just going to verify that's also 4 away from the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, which it is. And then I'm going to label that point with a V and my vertex. So I'm going to say that's -2, comma, let's see, how many did I go up? 1, 2. Okay, and you can quickly check. 2 plus 4 is 6, and 2 minus 4 is -2, so I know it worked. All right, let's sketch it in. Which way is this parabola opening? Remember, it's got to go away from the directrix, so I'm going to open upwards. And that's basically telling me my A value is going to be positive. All right, so now I have everything I need to put it in the equation. Y equals A times x minus h squared plus k. Now, remember, the A value equals 1 over 2 times focus minus directrix. So A equals 1 over 2 times 6 minus -2. So that's 1 over 2 times 8, so 1 over 16. And we said it's going to be positive because it's opening upwards. So y equals 1/16 x minus h. H was -2, so this is actually going to be a positive 2 squared, plus my height, which was 6. Now, it really is that simple. I want to show you one more thing that they might do as a multiple choice. So this answer is perfect for short answer. If you don't see that as the multiple choice, order of operation says you're going to multiply these two terms first. And basically, I would just say it's x plus 2 squared times 1. You can put this over 1, all over 16. And then my plus 6. So again, I multiplied the top of these two fractions. Technically, this is over 1. The bottom of those two fractions. Again, if that's not a choice, you could FOIL this out over 16 and add the 6, but hopefully we're good there. All right, write the equation of a parabola given a focus of 8, -3 and directrix of y equals 1. So again, pause it, get a perfect sketch, and then compare it to mine. Good luck. All right, so I've got my picture drawn. Focus is labeled, directrix is labeled. That was step 1. So check step 1. Step 2 is to find the vertex. Okay. So again, I'm going to say it's the difference between the two. So I'm going to say that's 1 minus -3 for a difference of 4. So again, I'm just taking the y values, 1 minus -3. and I'm cutting that in half to find the middle. So I'm saying it's 2 away from each of those. So I'm going to count 2 away from the line, 1, 2, and I'm going to count 2 away from the focus, 1, 2, make sure I end up in the same spot, which I do. And I'm going to go ahead and label that point with a V for vertex, and that looks like that would be the point 8, negative 1. All right, we're almost done. We just need to get that A value. Well, I should finish my picture. Let me slow down. Which way is this parabola going to open? Well, remember, it goes away from the directrix, and the focus is inside the parabola. Would it make sense if I open upward? No, then the focus wouldn't be inside. This time it has to open downward because I have to go away from that directrix. What is it telling me when I draw that? Well, that A value has to be a negative. Okay, so let's star that. That A value has to be negative. So we're almost ready to put it together. Let's grab the A value. Remember, it's 1 over 2 times focus minus directrix. So that's 1 over 2 times. My focus height was negative 3 minus, whoops, no it's not, let me go back. My focus height was, oh yes it was, negative 3 minus my directrix height, which is 1. So I get 1 over 2 times negative 4. I get 1 over negative 8. And does it make sense that it's negative? Yes, because this parabola opened down. Okay, so as I put it together, I'm going to get y equals negative 1/8, x minus the x value h, which is 8, squared, plus that k value, which is minus 1. And there you have it. Okay, so again, I'm going to rewrite it one more way. I could technically put this stuff over 1 and multiply the tops. So I could say it's y equals negative 1 times x minus 8 squared all over 8, and then minus 1. Again, they could FOIL this out and divide by 8 and add 1. Maybe I'll do that just to make you feel a little more comfortable. So if I FOIL that, oops, that was negative. If I FOIL this top out, I'm going to get x squared minus 16x plus 64. And I would divide all that by 8 minus 1. So I could say, remember I have to divide everybody I see by 8. That would be x squared over 8. Minus 16 divided by 8 is 2x plus 8 minus 1. So they could write it out like this and say it's x squared over 8 minus 2x plus 7 would be another solution. I guess I shouldn't say another. It would be the same answer, but just written in a different way. Okay, so there's lots of ways they can get tricky with you on the multiple choice, but in essence, it's all the same thing. All right, last one we're going to practice tonight. I tweaked it on you a little bit. Write the equation of the parabola given, notice this time they're giving you the vertex and the focus. So instead of finding the vertex, you already have it. What are you missing? You're missing the directrix, and that's what we have to find first. So again, let's get a nice sketch going. Let's see, my vertex is at negative 2, negative 1. Put a nice dot there and label that with a V. My focus is at negative 2, negative 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll put an F there for focus. Okay, so now where does the directrix sit? That's the question. So you got to think, where is this, if this is the vertex of the parabola, is it opening upwards or opening downwards? Well, where does the focus have to sit? It has to sit inside. So I know that this parabola is going to open downwards. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in for myself because I know it's going to sit inside. So remember, everything's equidistance away from the vertex. So basically I have to figure out what the distance is between these two. Well, this was at negative 1 and this is at negative 5. So if I just subtract them, negative 1 minus negative 5 gets me a difference of 4, which means the directrix has to be 4 away as well. So I'm going to count up 4. 1, grab my pen, 2, 3, 4. And draw in my directrix. So that's going to be at y equals 3. All right, now I can go and write the equation. So I need to find my A value, which I know is going to be negative because the parabola is opening down. 1 over 2 times the focus minus the directrix. So that's 1 over 2 times. My focus height is -5 minus my directrix height, which is 3. So that's 1 over 2 times -8. So I'm getting 1 over -16 for my A value. And again, it should make sense that it's negative because it's opening down. And then my vertex they gave us was at -2, -1. And I'll just throw them in the equation. Y equals -1/16 times x minus -2, so x plus 2 squared minus 1. And again, I'm just going to write this out one more time, the different ways they could write this answer. So if that's not the choice, here are your options. They could put this technically over 1 and multiply the tops and bottoms. So you could see y equals negative x plus 2 squared, because I'm doing this times this, all over 16 minus 1. So let's box that in. That's another solution. Same thing, just written differently. Or they might actually FOIL this out. So they'll have a negative out front, and they'll say it's x squared plus 2x plus 2x is plus 4x plus 4 all over 16 minus 1. Or they could take that negative and distribute it through. So negative x squared minus 4x minus 4 all over 16 minus 1. Notice this negative isn't touching this, it's just touching this term. Okay, and then they might just keep going on you. Negative x squared minus 4 over 16 minus 4x over 16 minus 4 over 16 minus 1. So y equals negative x squared over 16 minus 4/16, which reduces to 1/4 x minus 1/4 minus 1. And then because these are like terms, we can actually add those together. And you can grab your calculator, don't have to do it in your head. I'm going to say 1 is equivalent to 4/4. So I'm going to get y equals negative x squared over 16 minus 1/4 x minus 5/4. And again, you can grab your calculator to subtract those if you need to. And then this would be the other way they could express that answer. But all in all, I would probably leave it like this, and I'm only cleaning it up if for some reason that's not a choice. Well, that does it for us for our practice today. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a great night.